Good morning, everybody. Just going to let everyone get in and get their audio set up. Thank you all for joining. I'm Jessica Hoffman. I work at the Chamber and I coordinate our YP committee. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us this morning. So I'm going to introduce our chair, Amy Kate Mooney from Catholic Community Choir, to get us started this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our monthly Young Professionals meeting. We are excited to welcome Michelle Garrity and Mitch Steed to be with us this morning to be our presenters and share some of their wisdom and knowledge with us. So thank you, Michelle and Mitch, for being with us. We are going to kind of go around and say, good morning and welcome one another. And then we will have Michelle and Mitch with the brief question and answer session that will hopefully speak to all of us today.
All right, so I'm gonna start with Cassandra. Do you want to introduce yourself and where you're from?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I am Cassandra Williams. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Residence Inn in Glen Mills. Yes, that's pretty much it.
Thanks. Good morning.
Good morning.
Kristen, do you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Kristen Gavin. I'm a CPA and tax manager at Bars Gowie, Eamon and Foltz, and I look forward to the presentation today.
David, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is David Kelly. I am the owner of Blue Spark Solution. We're a small business bookkeeping company.
Elena, picking on you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elena Sforza. I'm the Director of Strategic Management at Bars Gowie, Eamon and Foltz. Good to see you, Kristen, and good to see lots of familiar faces here with us this morning. And thanks so much to the speakers for being here today. Look forward to it.
Denise, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How are you? My name is Denise Lynn. I work at M&T Bank as a relationship manager in our small business sector. Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Tom, good morning.
Hi, everyone. Tom McGarrigle Jr. I am a partner of Brinker Simpson and Company, a full-service CPA firm in Springfield, Delaware County.
Adam, you're up next.
Hey, everybody. Adam Maroon from LPL Financial. We are a full-service financial firm for both groups on the 401k side, as well as individual retirement and college planning.
Cindy?
Good morning. My name is Cindy Klein. I am a program supervisor for a nonprofit in Chester.
Okay. Good morning. Danielle, do you want to go next? Romero?
Good morning. My name is Danielle Romero. I am the Director of Catering at Radnor Valley Country Club here in Villanova.
Rob, do you want to go next?
Sure. I am Rob Zindel. I'm the Development Officer of Family Support Line, a nonprofit that serves child sex abuse survivors and their families in Delaware County.
EJ, good morning. Your turn.
I get to have a turn. Good morning. My name is EJ Wokoma. My company is the Commission International, aka Don't Wing It. We guide leaders to avoid winging it, to grow themselves and grow their business.
Thank you. Ashley, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Ashley. I work at the Franklin Federal Credit Union in media.
For joining us this morning. Caitlin, if you're there, I know your camera's off, but.
Yep, I'm here. Hi, I'm Caitlin Donegan. I'm an actuary. I work for a life insurance company called Resolution Life, and I'm looking forward to hearing what our speakers have today.
Right, and Wally? Maybe we'll let Wally go later. Maybe he's on a call. Did I miss anybody? If there's anybody, you can unmute yourself and do your intro and then wait a minute. All right. Well, Well, we'll let Wally have a turn in a little bit. And Amy Kate, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Awesome. Good morning. Welcome again, everyone. Hope everyone's day is off to a great start. We have Michelle Garrity and Mitch Steed here with us this morning. So we are going to open things up to Michelle and Mitch to have them share a little bit about their own journey, about where they're at today, and some of their background, and then we'll go into some more specific questions. So Michelle or Mitch, if you want to go first, and then we can kind of flip flop.
Mitch, you can go first. I'm going to move to another room because my connection cut out.
All right,
No
Mitch,
problem. No problem. And you know what? And I was going to try to hide, so I guess that's not going to work out too well. So yeah, my name is Mitch Stead. I'm the team lead and senior vice president of business banking here in Philadelphia. You know, it is an honor when Amy and everybody reached out asking if there was anything I could do to share some experience. You know, there's so much that's happened, and I don't, you know, as I read some of the questions that Jess had sent over, and I take a look back at, you know, where things started. You know, when I got out of college, I can tell you right now, the furthest thing from my brain was being a banker. And to be honest, I actually went to a couple of different colleges. You know, I figure if you're going to try something, try it all. But you know, I ended up at a few different schools. I actually thought that my career path would be completely different. And one of the questions even was, what was my first adult job? So my career had started actually in the golf world, where I don't know if I'd really call that an adult job. I had turned pro thinking I was going to be playing golf next to the likes of Tiger Woods and all of those folks that are still playing on tour. At 19 years old, I was fortunate enough to go to college on a scholarship. The group that I played with won a national championship in the late 90s. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to end up on golf course all day. I'm going to be focusing on swinging a club, making tons of money, endorsements. And I had my first ever event. I won a lot of money. I was like, this is easy, until all of a sudden I didn't make another dime for 2 years. And then I had to start focusing on the idea of what am I going to do to figure out a career that is going to be able to support my wife and I and the family that I was starting, and how to make a mortgage payment. And you know, I tried to push golf in a different direction, tried to go through the retail side of it, until, you know, there were some financial issues. You know, between 2000 and 2003, and then we saw some stuff that at that point, my wife and I figured, you know, it's a little bit tough struggling. So I was introduced through networking to a gentleman that was an executive vice president of the old Commerce Bank. And he said to me through this conversation, he goes, you know, you really should consider being a banker. And I looked right at him and said, I don't even have a bank account. All of my cash was sitting in my pocket. I didn't have a debit card. My wife hated it. You know, I was raised the old school way of, you know, bury money in the backyard. Banks are evil people, hide your cash, right? So I was working with him actually and instructing him in golf. And he said, look, you're teaching me lessons for a couple of years now. I'm not getting any better at golf. If you can convince me to keep giving you money, you can sell money in the banking world. So that was my introduction into getting into that. I spent a couple of years working my way up through the bank, and I was at a different bank for about 10 years before I came to M&T 7 years ago. And I'm now part of a group here at the bank that has doubled in size in 2.5 years since I've been running the group. I've been fortunate enough to, as you see one of your colleagues on the phone, I've recently hired Denise onto my team. Denise and I have worked together in many facets over the last 6 years, but it took a lot for me to convince her to come work with me. And you know, the biggest advice I could probably give anyone is being open-minded. That's one of the other things I also think that we've seen through the pandemic, is being open-minded and knowing that there's a lot of different opportunities, and figure out what your next step could be. But I'm a big fan of being open-minded at this point to see what's going to work out for anyone, because you never know what's around one corner. So I'd love to open it up for any questions anybody might have.
Awesome. Thanks, Mitch. You might have a couple potential golfers out there who will join you someday. Tom.
I suck at golf.
I'm not any good anymore either. I can promise you that. I used to be good, and as one of the questions say, if I go back to my 20-year-old self, what would I tell my 20-year-old self? Put the beer down. The wings aren't that important, and keep playing golf and practice as much as possible, even if you're going to work.
Good advice. Michelle, how about you? If you want to share your journey and
Sure.
how you got to where you are today.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Garrity. I started as an intern. I worked at Exelon Energy in 1999. That was the first time that the market tried to deregulate, where individuals could choose who they wanted to purchase electricity from. So I was in college at St. Joe's. I called my old CYO basketball coach, who was the director of sales, and asked her if she would hire me as an intern. So she did. So I worked 2 summers and 2 Christmas breaks at Exelon, and then deregulation didn't really work in the market at the time, and all of the companies kind of went under and everybody returned back to PICO. So I finished my degree at St. Joe's. I got my first real adult job through one of my sorority sisters, and I know I sound like Elle Woods from Legally Blonde. At the Ritz-Carlton in the city, I was the sales coordinator. I helped book all the celebrities, music groups. It was a perfect job for being 22, 23. The only not perfect part about it was that you had to be there at 3 a.m. when Ozzy Osbourne arrived, or Mariah Carey, or whoever. So I absolutely love working at the hotel. At that time, the general manager required everyone to take what they called a QSP test, kind of like a personality test. And they had specific indicators that you had to meet in order to get promoted. So I took the test. It came back that my level to detail scored a 4. And literally, in order to get promoted, it needed to be a 5 or 6. So at the time, my manager told me that, this was my score. And the test I took it when I was getting hired. So it was like a year and a half prior. And she basically told me that you don't have the scores that Myra, the general manager, wants, and like, you're not going to be promoted. So I was completely devastated. I just started it was a year and a half into my real first adult job. So I called some of the people that I used to work with when I was an intern. I called my old colleagues who worked at PICO. Said, hey, I'm looking for a new job. Here's kind of what's going on. I told him my story, what was going on at the Ritz. And he's like, I have an opening. I interviewed, and then I got hired at PICO as an inside account rep on the large account team. So I worked in large accounts from 2004 until 2009, when the market deregulated again, and everybody was able to choose their suppliers. So we had a lot of recruiters calling us, promising us tons of money if we jumped ship and worked for them, which I did. So I left PICO for 2 years. I sold power, which was super crazy. A lot of unethical people at the time. And then after 2 years, I kind of had enough, and I came back to PICO, worked in large accounts for a little bit, and then I moved over to corporate relations with handling our corporate giving and volunteerism. And now I work in external affairs. I deal with all the municipalities, local elected officials in Delaware County. That's kind of my story. That's my journey. So
Awesome.
in my role, in my journey, networking has been a really, really huge part. My basketball coach gave me my internship. My sorority sister helped get me the job at the Ritz. Someone I used to work for as an intern got me into PICO. So it's really been a huge part. And I hate going to networking events, where you walk around a room, you feel super awkward, and you're supposed to talk to people and hand them your business card. So to me, networking is just, you're always networking. You want to meet as many people as possible. Going to the gym, I met a ton of people. In your neighborhood, you meet a ton of people. So don't think that to network, you have to go to an official formal event. You can be networking every day just by being here.
It's awesome. Both great stories. And you both kind of touched on something that we wanted to talk about how, like, you know, you pivoted yourself in times of difficulties and refocusing where you're headed and taking a leap of faith or a chance, as Mitch said, being open-minded. And it sounds like both of you had similar, not similar, but situations where you were able to adjust and pivot and make some changes for yourself professionally. One of the questions we had for you, and I think it would speak to a lot of us, is maybe about your involvement in the chamber and what it has done for you, or maybe advice to any of us about taking advantage of the opportunities the chamber gives to us. I like, Michelle, what you said about networking. Like, it can be, you know, a little daunting sometimes. We might not want to do it, but we're all a part of the chamber. So why has it benefited you, and what advice do you have to us all in being involved with the chamber?
Sure, I can take that one first. So I've been a board member for, I guess it's almost 2 years. I joined the board right when COVID hit. The chamber has been extremely beneficial to me in my role, helping me to meet the people in Delaware County that I need to meet. And at least when I meet them, I can say I'm a part of the chamber, and they kind of light up. It's a little bit easier to start a conversation. Also, from a PICO perspective, we were able to have an event last year in partnership with the chamber to kind of really get our messaging out there about projects that we're doing. I'm sure you've all seen some bad press about PICO here and there about different projects we're doing. And it was a good way for us to explain that we have so much infrastructure work in Delaware County. So it's really benefited me personally in developing connections in the county, and also professionally helping the company kind of get their word out to Delaware County. Sometimes we get tagged that we, you know, do everything in Philly and not enough in the county. So it was a good way for PICO to present their work.
That's great. Thanks, Michelle. Mitch?
Yeah, so the chamber's been very beneficial for me, and I'm actually part of multiple chambers. So I'm fortunate enough to sit on the Chamber Foundation board as the vice chair. And I'm also on the Mainline Chamber board. And what I can honestly say there is, you know, Michelle hits the nail on the head. It's very awkward walking around the room and doing those networking events. But what I've found is going in with a buddy is huge, because typically people will start to gravitate to your discussions because somebody will see your buddy, and or if you go in with a group, meaning, and what I try to do when I go in with a group, and a group could be as little as 3, as many as whatever, but I try to go in with a certain group of folks, 3 to 5 typically, of different companies and possibly different industries. Folks will then just start to gravitate to you, so you don't feel that crazy rush to run around and just all of a sudden start firing off business cards like you're a dealer in Vegas. And they break the ice by coming over and saying, "Oh, hey, Michelle, what's going on?" And then Michelle can say, "Oh, by the way, this is a friend of mine, Mitch." So it's not just walking up and just throwing yourself in front of people, which is, like I said, completely awkward. But chamber introductions are huge. They've really helped me in my career and advancement. The amount of business that's happened because of it, and a lot because of those discussions, and then also taking part in different groups, whether it's the ambassador committees, to getting to know people. Just a matter of getting people to see your name, get to know your name. Do you walk into every opportunity to win a business deal? Not likely. You know, and a lot of networking also, and I can't say it enough, Michelle hit the nail on the head, where it can come from anywhere. You know, she mentioned her CYO coach. We recently won an opportunity through M&T because of several folks that were there involved in this one association we were working with. I grew up with their kids at a private Catholic school. So when I saw the board members that we were talking to, I sent them all separate emails and even Facebook connections, because I'm connected them on Facebook saying, "Hey, I'm going to actually see you tomorrow," and stuff like that. And when I got the chance to see them, it's all, "Hey, how's your family doing?" So, you know, a lot of times people look at connections that they have to be a CPA or attorney or different types of professional services, but not all the time. It can be anywhere at any time.
Awesome. Thank you both. So Mitch and Michelle come from different backgrounds and have different experience. So I want to take this opportunity to open it up to everyone on the call here. If you have a specific question or something you'd like to ask either Mitch or Michelle, now is the time to ask anything. Don't be shy.
Hi, this is Caitlin. My question's for Michelle. Not sure if you've had any specific experience with this, but kind of I've been, with my same company for 10 years or so, and I haven't personally experienced it, but you kind of see it. My question is, do you feel like there's any specific challenges that you face throughout your career, maybe with your growth or your development, just because you are a woman?
Caitlin, good question. At Pico, I have to say no. Pico is so big on diversity and equity that promotion due to being a woman would never be an issue. However, I will say the energy industry is very male dominated. So when I was a large account rep dealing with the energy managers or the facility managers, it's mostly males. So sometimes that was kind of difficult, that someone wouldn't take you serious or knew what you were talking about. And in those situations, I felt it just took time to prove that you knew what you were talking about and you were legit and you were credible.
Great, thanks.
Great question. Thanks, Caitlin. Anybody else have any questions for Mitch or Michelle? Everyone's quiet this morning.
I do.
Okay.
Now, my apologies. I missed part of the conversation, but Mitch, I heard the part you kind of made reference to coaching or being open. Maybe that's what the more you use. Can you say a little bit more about that? You kind of hit on it, and I'm like, say some more. So can you say a little bit more about it?
Sure, EJ. Coaching, in my opinion, is so huge, and especially in a remote environment. But the other part I was talking about was being open-minded. A lot of times we get set in our ways where we just think that there's only one path as we start working on something, and we don't necessarily always stop to look around and think that, hey, what might another option be? Depending on a certain career and an opportunity. And sometimes something will present itself to you and you might dismiss it very quickly because you're so focused on what that next step was. But just being able to stop and look around and think about, hey, what does that opportunity mean? Is it something where I can pivot to keep growing and understanding? From going back to the coaching aspect of it, between myself and my team, we have standard calendar discussions every 2 weeks. And it's a great touch point. When we were pre-pandemic, it wasn't quite as often because we saw each other around the office more. And to be honest, now that we're so far into what they're transitioning to endemic at this point versus pandemic, as we start to consider going back to work, I don't think that I'll shorten or spread them out, I should say, further, the coaching sessions. But we are doing, I'm a big fan of observational coaching and seeing how things work. What can we learn from every opportunity? Because typically there is some type of learning experience. Even when it's a great opportunity, there's likely something you can learn from it to make it even better. Or, what can we have adjusted to make it more of a pleasant experience?
If I may, not so much of a follow-up, I guess a second question. Let me build a twist here, and that's a second question. Someone asked me this. I want to get your thoughts. And the question was around in pre-virtual, right? So the in-person versus now mostly virtual. And the context is around leadership. And the question was somewhat like leadership in person versus leadership virtually. Is it possible to still be a great leader in person, or rather be a great leader virtually versus in person? So if one was a great leader in person, can they transition to be a great leader virtually and all that kind of work? So I'd like to get your thoughts around that, in person versus virtual, and how can leadership evolve if it is possible?
Sure. Michelle, do you want to take a stab at it first?
you're on a roll. You can keep going and then I'll jump in.
So EJ, it's a great question. So I took over my spot in May of 2019. So I wasn't quite in the role a year before lockdown happened, right? At the time when I took over the role, it was an 8-person team. I had 2 people on it. I had 1 person that quit. So it was a very eye-opening experience when I took over the team. To this day, there's 1 person left of the original team. I've added 7 new people, and we've doubled output and doubled market share through a virtual environment. I would tell you right now, I love seeing my team members face to face in person. But at the same point, I think if the right dialogues are happening, the right coaching sessions are happening, and you're able to instill the right behaviors and activities, virtual versus face to face, there's organic networking that we've talked about that doesn't happen, but and that makes it a little bit tougher. But to see the success that our team has had here in the Philly market through the virtual, I think it can only grow when in person happens again. So I think if you're doing the right things will come back to you.
I agree. I do think a little bit is missing without the in-person, especially when you have new hires join your team and you can't really be there in person to welcome them or take them out to lunch. But I do think that, the world has learned that a lot of individuals are able to be as productive or more productive at home. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of shift that brings, as Mitch said, once, we go into the endemic.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Awesome. Well, Mitch and Michelle, we want to thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate all your advice and suggestions to everyone on the call, and just kind of speaking honestly about your experience and shedding some good strategies for all of us that hopefully will help us as we continue to grow and keep moving forward in our own journeys. We are going to be shifting to our committee call. So Mitch and Michelle, if you want to stay, you're welcome to, or you're free to leave. And then we're going to move to the second part of our call. And Jess, I'm going to kind of hand it back to you.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right. So next up, I want to introduce Danielle Romero. So we want to spotlight one of our committee members every meeting as well, in a different industry. So I'm going to, where'd Danielle go? Oh, there you are. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to share some stuff about going on in your world, and we have some questions for you too.
Sure. Awesome. I'm Danielle Romero. I work at Radnor Valley Country Club as the director of catering. I'm sure, as all of you know, the event industry the past 2 years has been a little bit of a mess. We went to a complete standstill during March of 2020. I, at the time, was working at the Eagle Stadium, and we left on March 13th, and I wasn't back in that building until July. That was definitely a challenge. I was lucky enough to continue to get paid to be at home, as a lot of people in the industry were not as lucky as I was. So I'm very fortunate in that aspect. The transition of coming back after COVID was a mess to try to windle through. We had to go through so many type of mitigation measures and, plexiglass everywhere, and working at an Eagle Stadium was a lot worse than, let's say, I don't want to say worse, but we had a lot more standards that had to be followed through because of the NFL. So we were getting tested every single day for COVID, and we all had to wear masks constantly throughout the day. We had to eat in certain areas. We weren't allowed to be in offices with anybody. When we were in the building, it's like we were in the building for 20 hours a week trying to get things ready, and then we were done as soon as we had to. So that was the biggest challenge during COVID, was trying to figure out what we were supposed to do and what our new normal was going to be. once we got past our first season, it wasn't as terrible. And then of course things started to calm down and our surges weren't as bad. I then I then changed over to working at the country club because in my own industry, I realized that I no longer wanted to deal with corporate events and I wanted to go back to like my bread and butter of social events and that kind of stuff, which I actually enjoy. Our industry in general has just been crazy. We all know that staffing has also been the biggest fight. And, you know, we're using temp agencies constantly, or, you know, you're trying to hire, like even last week, I set up 5 interviews for staffing people to come in. None of the interviews showed up. So staffing right now is one of the biggest challenges. It's just, we're definitely getting back there, but even as we just saw like the surge between Christmas and Thanksgiving, people canceled, postponed events for January and February. People are coming back now again, and I definitely think that guest counts have started to increase. I have my first big corporate event in 2 weeks of about 200 people. They were another one that was supposed to happen in January that pushed it off to the end of February. And you start to see corporate events coming back, but those were the first ones to get cut off the block. Social events have just kind of guest counts have dwindled. But I think we'll get to a point eventually, at least now that we're kind of seeing that the surge is now slowly coming back, not as bad. I think I'm in this repeated pattern of constantly saying, oh, well, like next year will be better. The following year will be better. Do I know that the next year will be better? We shall see. I'm trying to be as positive as possible with it, but it's just so difficult, I think, at this point when none of us really know where the world's going to be in another year or so. So that's pretty challenging. But I mean, I think all of us within the next 6 months should definitely see a big change in more in-person events coming back. Even like look at what we're doing today is that, you know, we're now in Zoom meetings when we used to be in person every single month, meeting with each other, going to lunch, doing all these different things. So I think there is some good things coming ahead as we move into this endemic, as some people are calling it at this point. I'm like, that was a new one for me. I'm like, is that a thing? Are we closer to the end now? Okay. But I mean, I look forward to next year and this following year to see where we'll be and see if we can grow from that.
Yeah, Danielle, I know from like just from the chamber event side, we've learned, I'm like, all right, over the last 2 years, we've learned that over the winter months it spikes because of the holidays, and then and nobody can be outside, and then over the summer it starts to get better. So
right. Yeah, we all come back during like May, June, July, August, and then like October, November, we start to slow back down. So maybe we're kind of out of this pattern, hopefully, maybe on to 2024.
Right. I know I sent Danielle, I know I sent you questions too, but one of the things was have you ever like hit a point where you're like, you know what, I don't even want to plan events anymore. I don't even want to do any of this. Like you wanted to change industries altogether.
So I think at some points have considered it. But I think I've also, I put so much into my career and being in the event industry that for me to transfer over to a different industry completely would like change my world upside down. During COVID, so my parents have a business, and during COVID, while I was working from home, not doing anything, to be totally honest, because there was no events to do, so there wasn't much for me to do. I'd help out at like my parents' business to at least get out of the house. So that was always like an option for me. God forbid anything totally like went to full crap that I had that as a backup. But like I said, I think I'm going strong with that. This industry definitely will come back eventually and full. I think we're always going to have, you know, something in the back of our mind or contracts that have COVID stipulations and all that kind of stuff in it. I don't think that will ever go away. But I do think in the long run, we will get to a point where this is our complete new normal.
No, I hear you. All right. Well, does anybody have any questions for Danielle?
Well, Danielle is somebody on the nonprofit side who plans events as well, you know, so I can totally relate to this, you know, when are they going to happen? Are they going to happen? trying to line up on our end protection in case we have to cancel an event last minute with a service
Right.
provider like you. I mean, it's been up and down, and it's pushed us to figure out how do we do things differently on that end as well. How do we, right now, even we have an event coming up in April, and I'm like hoping we can do it in person, and the numbers tend to be going in the right direction. But, you still have to keep in the back of your mind, like, are we going to have to go virtual again? And I just can totally relate to that. But at the same time, I think it also has been a unique way of challenging all of us to figure out new ways to do things and to come up with, creative solutions, how to, pull something off, in those things. And then also, trying to work and support one another, across the aisle, like me understanding from your perspective, like about staffing, right? I'm worried about, can I even do this in person? And you're like, I don't know if I'm going to have anyone there to be able to serve the food at your event, So
Right.
I think it has a level of empathy, I think across different industries, I think has grown a lot during this pandemic, where we're able to truly put ourselves in the other person's shoes and understand, like, yeah, they got their challenges too, where before it was just like, I don't care about your problems, I just need you to pull this off. And I think empathy has increased during this time, I think. And it's so I feel you on that. And there's times where I've been like, do I ever want to plan another event again? But to me, it's always usually the fun part about fundraising, right? It's the event where you get to mingle with people and get to see people happy and smiling and enjoying themselves, where, you're writing email campaigns and you don't always know how the people are receiving it on the other end, So I hope we get back there too fully in time, and we don't have to, but I know there'll be those lingering things, like there will always pauses, like for health and safety reasons, if you have to postpone your event, and things that are just going to be normal now that we never would have thought of like 4 years ago.
Right. And I totally agree. I actually was having a conversation with my parents about that last week. I was like, I thought, like, when I was going into the event industry, that I was like, oh, I'm the safe industry. Like, there's always going to be events. Like, people are always going to get married. People are always, you're going to have funerals. You're going to have this. You're always going to have these things. Nobody thought that a pandemic was going to shut down our whole entire industry. You couldn't have foreshadowed that one. So it is our new normal. And like I was saying, like, yeah, we're always going to have something in contracts that say, due to this, is this what it's going to be, or cancellation for this, or, mitigation. We now learn that, like, in the event industry as a whole, we've always had to be flexible and kind of go with the flow, and you never know what's going to happen. And now it's even more so with, the state could mandate that there's no more indoor events, and boom, we have to be outside next day. So, like, it's just been able to kind of go with the punches and go with the flow, and we make it work.
All right. Thanks, Danielle. All right, so the next part of our meeting, I want to ask you guys what brought you here today. And if you want to share, since it's still early in the year, one of your, just sharing one of your goals, whether it's personal or professional, is it, everyone's on a get healthy kick, or, if you've, whatever it is. So if we want to go around and just, share what really brought you here today, and then one of your goals. So I'm going to start with Elena.
Lucky me.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. So what brought me here today is I would like to improve my networking skills and continue to meet new people throughout the county in industries that are different than mine. I think it's really important for us to learn from other people who are not within our industry. I think they bring different perspectives to the table. So that's really important to me. I think sometimes we get stuck in our own little industry bubble, and that can be challenging. For me, I work at an accounting firm, for those who don't know, and I do not have an accounting background. Don't worry, I'm not doing taxes, so it's fine. But I came from the political science realm, and I worked for an elected official. And then I ended up in an accounting firm, which was a really different industry for me, but I think I brought different perspectives to the position and to the firm, which I think has been really helpful overall. So, excuse me, some of my goals moving forward are just to continue to improve my networking skills, to meet a lot more people. I want to try to attend events that maybe I wouldn't normally go to, and events that maybe I don't know anyone at, to really push myself, get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And I mean, of course, like everybody else, I of course would like to be healthier this year. And in fact, at Bars Galley, Kristen can speak more to this, but Kristen, I got to give her credit where credit is due. She started a steps challenge during tax season to help everybody in our office become more active during our busiest time of the year. So we're all tracking our steps. We're on different teams, and the winner is going to get a very nice team dinner at the end of tax season. But it's really forcing me to get my steps in, because I got a lot of people counting on me. So hopefully that will help for my fitness goals for this year. So that's it for me.
Thank you. All right. So Kristen, I'm gonna pick on you next, since Elena called you out.
Sure, absolutely. So same way, I was just glad to be a part of today, just to engage with all of you. I feel like because of the pandemic, I don't get to see all of you as often and chat, and also get to, speak and be a part of this and speak with any of the new members to the committee. As far as goals, same way as Elena, just want to kind of get back into the events and things and engage with people that, I haven't met so far at the chamber. And as Elena mentioned about the steps contest, that's always a positive to be a little bit healthier. So that was actually an employee recommendation, and then we tried to put it in action this year. And it's been difficult. I keep saying, remember, we're like glued to our chairs all day doing tax returns. So be kind when you collect the accounts from everyone. But hopefully it will just, keep us all a little bit healthier during a time we're pretty much sedentary.
That's fun. All right, Cassandra, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I'm relatively new to the chamber, actually, and so just finding different ways and different people to meet, especially I think it's a little bit harder when you do it over virtually. That's kind of, we've all experienced, it's just not the same as in person, but it's what we have. So it's a great resource, and I appreciate you guys, just the effort you put into the events. I've just been parts of other chambers, and just what you guys are offering to all the members is great. And so I think just realizing like our hotel is a part of Delaware County, we're just on the farther side. And so just making connections and understanding resources that are out there. A lot of times with our guests, they ask for, if they're relocating or something, they want referrals to like make roots in this area. And so just having someone you can refer to, whether it's a doctor, financial advisor, a bank, and just people that you feel confident and comfortable with, that you're putting them in good hands. So it's been great.
Awesome. So welcome. And let's see, who should I pick on next? Cindy.
Some reason I knew. But again, my name is Cindy. I work for City Team. I'm also relatively new. Personally, City Team is not new to the chamber, but I am relatively new, and I would like to get more involved and kind of step outside my comfort zone and grow in my networking with fellow leaders and just see all the resources that are out there and available. Working in nonprofit, we can be kind of very client oriented, but knowing all the different resources and that we could offer them, and just kind of thinking outside the box a little bit, if that makes any sense. But I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Do you have any goals that you set this year for yourself, or just to get out there? Or
to get out there and to grow, and within City Team, we're developing a new program, so just kind of excel in that and do the best I can in that. We just launched our new mobile pantry, so adding to that and growing sites to that. So
awesome. David, do you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. So I think, like a lot of people said, my biggest goal this year is to grow. I think to meet more people. It's been a long time kind of being virtual. We work with a lot of small business owners. So like someone else said, a lot of times they're looking for references, people in the community that they can turn to. So I think that's really helpful. This is my first time joining this group. I just joined the chamber a month or two ago, so kind of trying to go to every event that I can. But yeah, I think just trying to meet new people, make connections in the county.
Cool. All right, Adam, I'm going to call on you next since everyone's talking about going to events and things. If you want to share your goals and things, and then talk about March Madness.
Yeah, sure. First off, before I get into all my personal stuff, I want to say I love seeing all the new faces here. Seeing this group grow is awesome. And the one thing I can say about that is just, make sure that you continue to attend these events, because one thing that I learned from joining the chamber a lot of years ago was that, going to 1, 2, 3 events, yeah, it's great, but where you really start getting the connections is by going out there on a regular basis. I mean, I don't think that, I would have ever done business with Tommy McGarrigle if it wasn't for, me seeing him, take people out of kickball, including people that I work with. On that note, personal goals, our business is growing substantially. And in order for us to continue to grow, I need to go out and get not 1, but 2 additional certifications. So that is my goal, to not have that done by this year, but have it done by probably middle of the summer. So in addition to that, why am I here involved in the YPs? I mean, virtually I'm here because it is convenient. I can be sitting at my desk and still be here. But when it comes to the events, I guess the cheesy reason is to get away from my kids. But the other reason is really to interact with other people, and on not only a business level, but also on a personal level. We have great times at these events, and that kind of leads me into the next thing, which is our next event that we have upcoming. It's the March Madness event. It is sponsored by my office, LPL Financial, but then also Bars Gowie and TrueMark Credit Union. It'll be on Friday, March the 18th, 2 o'clock. So you got to cut out a little bit early from work at the Barnaby's in Aston. I believe, Jess, we have the entire upstairs, correct? So right when you get in there, just go right up the steps and there'll be the check-in table. A few big things going along with that, not only just to go and watch basketball, because some people might not be into basketball, but if you are, if you register by March 14th, you'll get an email from me with a link to be a part of the YP bracket. We didn't do it last year, but we did it 2 years ago. It was a great time. It's on the CBS app. So you just go on the app and literally you don't even have to know anything about basketball. I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch a lot of college basketball, but it is fun to do because you just go and you just start picking teams. And on the app, you just click this team, this team, this team, this team, click submit, and you're entered. The app tracks everything so you can see where you're at in the placement. But if you do win, you win $100, I believe we're gonna do $100 Visa gift card. A big stipulation with being involved in that is not just registering, but you also have to attend the event. I don't care if you're there for 10 minutes, you have to show up to be a part of it. But also, if you're not a basketball fan, there'll be food there. Obviously, it's a bar, so there'll be drinks there. You don't have to drink. There'll be networking, and there will also be a beer pong tournament. And just so that we can get these numbers up, because we want to continue to see the numbers at our events go up. If you have a guest register, if you bring a guest, and have them register, you'll get put into a drawing for a $50 gift card. Now, it's not just one, but every time you get a guest to register, you get another chance in the drawing. So we're really trying to encourage a lot of people to be there. So I would really love to see everybody in this group here. Bring a friend. We'll have it be a great time. Thanks.
Thank you. So I did share the link to the registration in the chat. If you guys want to check it out, it is a good time. Like Adam said, we didn't have the event. 2020, it got canceled. And then last year we didn't do it last year we didn't do it because things were like spiking again. But here we are, we're bringing it back. And I know nothing about basketball, but I did the bracket the year that we did do it. And it's easy. It's fun, and you get to see how everybody else in the group's doing, and it's a chance to win $100. So why
just
not?
come out and root against Michigan so that we can watch Tommy cry.
So I'm going to pick on Tom next, and if you even want to share your kickball story, that's fine too. but kickball is one of our staple events that we do in June. And Tom almost had to battle it out with a Philadelphia Union sales rep.
Well, Jess, just to clarify, there's multiple kickball stories. I ran over Adam's coworker once, and I almost got in a fight with someone at the union with cut off sleeves. So it is what it is. So my goals for this year, first off, my wife thought it was a good idea for us to move in the middle of March as a CPA with 2 little kids. So my first goal will be for me and my wife not to kill each other during the next month or so. But seriously, I guess my goals would just to be continue to grow in a leadership position in my firm, mentor the younger staff at my firm, and hopefully, build my book of business, and which would mean I'd make a little bit more money. As you know, like Adam said, it's really cool to see some new faces here. I got involved with the young professionals 7 years ago, approximately, and me, Adam, Amy Kate was part of that group too initially, and Jess. And we've seen a lot of faces over the years, and this is the most new faces I've seen in a while. So that's very cool. I'm a little bit older on the age range of YPs. I'm 37 now, but I've gotten a ton out of this group, and it was a really great place for me to learn my soft skills. Just getting myself out in front of people my age. It's a lot easier than talking to someone that's 50 or 60 and very well established. It can be a little intimidating. So the young professionals is a great place to start building your network, getting comfortable presenting yourself in front of other people. And so, once again, it's really cool to have everyone here. And like Adam said, the March Madness event is awesome. It's always fun. I'm sober, so I will drive like 6 of my idiot younger coworkers when they get drunk, and I drop them off at the bar at the end of the night. That's usually the March Madness tradition. Back to you, Jess.
Thanks, Tom. So yeah, if you want to, if you need a ride, don't call an Uber, call Tom. So Wally, you missed when we did our introductions earlier. So if you want to introduce yourself, and then also your goals and why you popped on today.
Yeah, great. Good morning, everyone. Wally Ritecki with the Kelly Mortgage Team. And what I do, I help people qualify and plan how to get qualified for a mortgage for residential homes. We do both purchases and refinances, and we really want to make sure we focus on the education aspect of it. And that way you're able to understand what the heck's going on and every different part of the process. I came here this morning just because, I've been involved coming to the young professional, how long, like 3 or 4 years now I've been showing up. So I just want to make sure I'm continuing to show my face, grow my relationships with everyone. So it's great to see new faces. And if you ever have questions about anything, or just want to bounce something off me, whether it's about the chamber, whether it's about purchasing a home, current market conditions, more than happy to help out a fellow chamber member. So my goals this year professionally, I want to help 80 families achieve the goal of home ownership this year. That's not including refinances. I want to help 80 families either move up to their next home, or help a first-time home buyer achieve the dream of home ownership. Personally, I have 2 main goals this year that I'm really trying to focus on. So the first one's pretty simple. Let's just wake up on the first alarm. Quit hitting the snooze button, because I'm sure many of us just keep hitting that snooze button. We want to get to the gym in the morning, whatever, and all of a sudden, instead of waking up at 6, we're waking up at 8, especially now that we're all working virtually now, and you're already 2 hours behind in your day. So I'm really trying to focus on waking up on that first alarm. Secondly, I kind of feel like now that I'm 30 years old, that I'm maturing a little bit more now. And I've reached a new level of maturity over the last, 6 months or so. So one of the things I want to do, I really want to continue that, personal growth. So I'm trying to read at least 1 book a month and listen to 1 audio book a month. So I want to, knock out at least 24 books that really are like focus on different aspects, whether it's business, whether it's personal relationships, all that good stuff. So those are my 3 main goals this year.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, Denise, do you want to go next?
Sure. I guess I would say that for me, I just made a big pivot in my career, which has taken me way out of my comfort zone. And I am, to say I am not scared or hesitant would be a lie. I am definitely pushing myself. I've been in banking operations for more than 20 years, held very high positions in that, and had an opportunity to move to more of a front-facing role. And I was kind of like, this is a now or never. You're not as a young professional as you used to be. So let's give it a go. And I have for the last couple of months. And my goal, I've been involved with other chamber events in the past, but I really wanted to push myself. My territory is Delaware County. I live in Delaware County. I'm a local. So I really just wanted to get involved and use this to network more and to keep pushing myself out of my comfort zone. So I'm not like a wallflower hiding in the corner and, comfortable talking about anything to people. And that's really why I'm here. And I'm excited to be here and join a lot of events. I'm very good at eeny meeny for March Madness pool. So there's really no talent, just eeny meeny miny mo. And I've won in the past. So have at it, people.
There you go. All right. Caitlin, do you want to go? Is Caitlin still on the call? Let's see. Oh, we lost Caitlin. You know what, Rob, you didn't go yet either.
Want me to go now, Jess?
Sure.
All right. Hi, everybody. Rob Zindel, Family Support Line once again. I joined Family Support Line last July. And I was in a Philadelphia-based nonprofit. So I wanted to get into know Delaware County better, and my organization spoke very highly of the chamber. So I decided to reach out and start getting involved. My first event was the holiday party we had in December, which was actually quite a fun event. I was thinking like, oh my God, it's my first event. Am I going to be comfortable with my exit plan if this is awkward? And then I ended up being there to the end of the event and realizing the time had already gone past. And I was like, wow, everyone's still here. Everyone's still having fun and everyone's still talking. So it was a really great event and I was glad to be a part of it. I even reconnected with somebody who'd been a sponsor of our fundraiser the year before, and next thing you know, we got a new check for this year. So they're going to be back on board again. And I had never knew who this person was. So that came out of the event too. So it paid immediate dividends for us as an organization. And honestly, this year, goal-wise, is to continue to kind of further connect in Delaware County and to get more established within that community and get more involved with the chamber, the YP group, and just the chamber overall. I've gone to a few things. I went to the chamber dinner, and I ended up having a follow-up call with somebody else who's considering sponsoring our event. I've run in the Wally now at like 3 different events now, so apparently he's my new bestie. Things are coming along. As a personal goal for this year, I actually signed up to get my certification in teaching English as a foreign language, which is going to be a fun goal for me I have a lot of friends who are non-native English speakers, and I thought it'd be a fun way for me to earn extra income and give myself an exit strategy if I decide come next presidential election cycle if I need to escape the country. I'm working on that this year to give myself some options, or if I decide I want to retire early and maybe move somewhere in Latin America, it might be nice I can just retire and teach English and stay busy when I do that. So that's my big goal for this year. And I found a great deal on Groupon, so it was good.
All right. EJ, do you want to go next? And then Ashley will have you go after him. I know we just hit 10:30. So I understand people, if you're, you have to bounce, I understand. We'll do these last couple of people and then we'll wrap it up and send you on your way. So EJ, go ahead.
I didn't expect to share, but I appreciate hearing everyone. So I got some thoughts together. First and foremost, why am I here? Well, I'm here for 2 reasons. One is to put a plug in for the Chamber's Business Owners Group. That's a structure that the Chamber has together for business owners. Pretty self-explanatory from the title there. But it's really, when David, you talked or I thought about you when you introduced yourself. We have a structure that supports business owners. You think about it, a lot of times we're lone wolves. We're doing our thing. We're in our path. We're thinking our thing. And this group brings all the business owners together. And we generally support structure for each other. I participated in the group even before joining the chamber. And if there's one thing that I point to as a benefit of being a chamber member, it will be that group. So I'm here to give a plug in for the group. We meet every second Wednesday of the month, and Jess usually coordinates, and she leads the meeting, or she helps lead the meeting. Personal goal. Well, this year I decided to focus more on personal goals than business goals. I do have business goals, but my thinking is let my personal goals pull my business goals as opposed to me pushing my business goals, so that I make sure that I'm giving priority with my personal goals. One of my personal goals is to earn my red belt in karate. My sons and I do karate together. So what that means for me is that I'm spending time with my sons. I'm involved in their growth, and we're growing together. When you talked about maturity, Wally, I thought to myself, I must still be in puberty because there's still a lot to grow and to learn. So the type of me is represents that I'm growing with my children. The other thing that I want to do is work on my drumming. I started drumming a few months ago. I've had a chance to drum at my church. My goal is to sound as good as the folks that I hear on records, and not just sound like a beginner drummer, but sound like a decent drummer. So a couple of shares, then I'll let the last person take the mic.
Thanks, EJ. Ashley?
Hello, this is my first meeting. It was actually recommended to me by my branch manager. I tend to shy away from public speaking and new things and new events. So COVID was, kind of great for me. I didn't have to go anywhere, and I could be like, I can't go to that. Sorry. So I'm hoping to, meet new people, branch out, not just networking, but getting more involved. I grew up in media, so I think it would be helpful for my professional career and my personal life, just as a goal, just to try to not be as shy.
Well, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And then Danielle and Amy Kate, if you guys want to share, I know you guys have kind of spoken, but if you guys want to share any goals that you guys have.
Sure. So just real quick, I am from Catholic Community Choir, and we're a children's theater organization. So like the hospitality industry kind of got hit a little bit because we had to pause so much of what we do. And so we're finally back a little bit at a great spot, but still growing. And so my goals for this year are just to really focus on our mission and our vision, and really just kind of like hone in on some of those key things that have been our goal from the very beginning that didn't get necessarily lost, but didn't get a lot of time throughout the pandemic when we were just trying to survive. So really focusing on that. And then, personally, my life's changing a little bit. So just making sure that I am taking time for myself and my family while still running a successful, growing organization. But like Adam and Tom said, it's been really great to see some new faces, and just excited to see where things go for the YPs. The one thing I did kind of want to repeat in terms of the YPs is that we have a mix of not only educational events, but fun events. So, it's nice to get connected today, but hopefully the momentum from today will keep us going, and encourage everybody to keep coming out to not only our monthly Zooms, but also some of the fun events we have planned too. So thank you everyone for being here.
Danielle, do you have anything you want to share?
Sure. I think some of my goals for this year is just to get back out there with networking. As you know, we lost basically 2 years of not seeing everybody and not going out with everybody every day. And I think I'm just looking this year to try to retain more business throughout networking now that we can start to do some more networking events and meet new people. And I've been part of the chamber, I guess, for a few years now, and it is nice to see new people here and, build a group again.
All right. Well, I know we ran over a little bit, but I wanted to let you guys know our next Zoom is, we're going to meet the first Thursday of every month at 9:30, just like this, same kind of format. So the next meeting is March 3rd, and we're going to have Deanna Doan. She's the owner of Click Canyon. It's a digital marketing agency. She'll be speaking, and then Dion Douglas, and she is an engineer manager at Kimberly-Clark. So if you guys are interested, the registration is open. I can email out the link to that as well after the meeting for next month, but it'll be similar format. The guests will speak in the beginning, we can ask questions, and then we'll have a committee spot, like, one of us will have a spotlight, and then just kind of go into open discussion. But does anybody have any last thing they want to share, or any questions or thoughts? Before we go? No? All right. Well, everyone have a great day. And that's that.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.